week when we came to Mico in 1968. For some of us, it was very disturbing. Some of us fainted. Some of us cried. We did all lots of things. And today, when we look at what happened, we all sit and we laugh and we take it very funny. Now tonight, we want to redo some of those things that happened to us. Now, we can recall coming to the Mico, some of us, with our dulcimina. Right? How many of us can remember coming to Mico with our grapes? I still have some of those rocks at home with my names written on them. And I can recall the first week when we went into the lecture theater and we had those giants, as we would call them, our seniors, that came in, and some of the discipline that they tried to instill in us was not something that we readily accepted. So tonight we are going to redo what we did during orientation week. Mr. Roderick Campbell.
First here, you're to stand up as the council comes in. Be upstanding. Yeah. And let me tell you something. You are in this noble institution at our behest and tolerance. You either comply or you'll be going through the gate. Is that clear? You may now be seated.
The next person to come in is our senior lady, who will be represented by Mrs. Joy Cohen.
All the ladies of 11 Trevanion Road, please stand. And I need you to say hello to Miss Poyser. The ladies of 11 Trevanion Road. Elaine Ellis, is that you over there?
No, I am Miss
9 Trevanion Road, my mistake. It's 9 Trevanion Road.
Sorry.
Okay. And I just want to remind you that when you leave here, curfew is at 9. And any lady thinks that she's gonna walk into this dorm after 9 is going to report to me. Now, 2 days after, Miss Cohen, yes, Miss Poyser, why are you coming in at 9:30? There was no bus available, Miss Poyser. Okay, so you know what you have to do. And don't you think, because you have the senior man in your corner, he is not going to stop you, okay? Is that correct? Yes, Miss Poyser. Thank you.
He is no stranger to this role. We will now have our SRO, Mr. who will represent our senior SRO, Mr. Samuel Palmer will come here.
Brothers and sisters, first year people, please understand that we're in a noble institution and you have to follow the instruction given through the president, senior lady, or the members of his team. I was coming from the country, and since I wasn't used to Kingston, I tried to disobey the instruction. So when the principal comes in, nobody can be late, and I mean nobody. You must be sitting down before the principal steps in. Principal Glenn Owens. I didn't go there. So I went to Crossroads to look at the lights. Gruffy and Pedro and Morris. And guess what? They reached home before me. And then I came in. And I was late. And brother, they swing me. They swing me. And for 5 weeks, I had to wear the coat and tie. So anybody who came on that campus knew that I was a troublemaker. Because it's only troublemaker that wear the suit at that time. People never give me a mic because they don't know what I'm going to say. And on a more serious note, I personally want to thank the people who put on this endeavor. And I personally want everybody to stand up for 10 seconds for those people who are gone by from this batch. Please do it. May their souls rest in peace. Thank you.
Eric Williams, who will represent the captain of Rogers House, to come by.
Now, I see a lot of people out there that I don't recognize looking at me. Now, that is a privilege I will allow you for a few moments because I don't know any of you. And we don't know where you come from and how you find yourself into these noble institutions. But we will soon sort out if there's any difference between you and what a teacher is supposed to be. We are going to be here for a while, and we are going to find out who you really are. Some of the things that we'll ask you to do, we suggest that you do them without arguing. Some of you may become lawyers later, but right now it doesn't matter. My name is Neville Forrester, and I am the leader of the Arthur Grant House. And any of you can ever imagine being placed in Arthur Grant House, better start saying your prayers, because we are not going to put up with any coughing, any foolishness when it comes to track and field, drama, when it comes to cricket, football, any such thing that you are supposed to be participating, and when your seniors call upon you, you have to win the race. And it don't matter if 10 of you in the race, the 10 of you have to win. We're not playing with you people. I understand some of you come from Kingston and believe that you can reach home before we grab you. But that is not going to happen. And we are going to lodge your names at the police station in Crossroads, just to make sure that they know you, especially you people from Kingston. So if you are coming into this Arthur Grant House, you better say your prayers every night, and you better be obedient. What we are doing here is not ragging you. We are extending your tolerance. If you want to become a teacher, why you come to Mico? Why would you come to Mico? Of all the places to go, you come into Mico? You're half crazy? Do not come to Mico unless you mean business. Because when we are turning out people here, we turn out teachers. And so listen to me now, students. Whenever you see me on the campus, if you want to speak to me, please bow your head. I will not tolerate any fusses looking up in my face. I'm already tall, I will do the looking down. Okay? If any of you imagine that we are going to surrender this campus to you, you think we're carrying the caps? You think we're wasting the caps' time? I have some batchmates around there waiting for you now. I have to keep them off, you don't see any of them come out here. Because I don't want them to scare you, make you jump the back fence. So, this is my welcome to Grant House. And you have to make sure that when the captain calls, you are ready. And I will be speaking to you some more about this matter. So, look at me carefully, and when you see me coming 10 yards away, please bow your head. Thank you.
All right, next we will have the captain of Buxton House, George Cohen.
Welcome batch 68 to 71. I know that in your community you were sitting on thrones. Here you'll sit on chairs. There's only one house in this college, and that's Buxton House. Some people choose to ignore us recently, but this is the only house that wins. So when you get here, bear in mind one thing. It doesn't matter, you're young people, so there are no excuses. I don't want to hear that I'm having pain in my back. Pedro is Pedro. I don't want to hear that my leg hurts. Everybody is going to work together to be a winner. You must participate because our goal is to win. So, I have all the names and I'll be checking off to make sure that you participate and so we can continue the winning trend at the Mico. Thank you very much.
Lushington House is the house. And I can tell you, you are very fortunate to be a part of this house. I can tell you that this house has been built on solid foundation. You will not come here as duckons to eat down this house. So as you go about, when there is time for sport, when there is time for the Nathan Brissett competition, it must be, call the name, Lushington First House. Thank you.
Now we are going to call Mr. Nicholson to represent Bishop House.
And I'm going to deviate a little bit from what was being said or said about housing and talk about two members of Bishop House. First one, and if you're not a member of Bishop House, keep quiet. His name is Bingo Leslie. Okay? Whenever. We used to have, many of us, there are like 4 or 5 groups that used to meet in the lecture theater. Give me a here. 4 or 5 groups of us used to meet in the lecture theater. You remember that? I think we meet there for psychology or something like that. Maybe English with Miss Lily Brown. Bingo put up his hand in the class. And he asked a question. And all of us look back. What question is he going to ask? He said, in Russia, they got cosmonauts. In America, they got astronauts. In Jamaica, what do they have? Coconut. Nobody could answer. He said, coconut. One more. I share a room with, next door to my room was a fellow named Erskine. and Mr. Shirley have a way of examining the rooms unannounced. But Mr. Shirley knocked on the door of Erskine's room. Erskine knew he was coming, so he immediately took his pants off and started to look for his shoes under his bed. Mr. Shirley said, "Worthless fella," and slammed the door. But the Bishop House, we were told by the leader then that this house, of all the houses here, win every competition. So if you come from Kingston, where I came from, country or wherever, you have to win. Even if you think you can't win, you have to win. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gordon Joseph will play the part of the Pope for us, who was Mr. Ethel Davis.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Ethel Davis. I am the Pope for the entire college. Now I'm asking you to cooperate with the seniors as much as possible, and everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. If you have any problem, you can always come to me, and I will help you to solve them. Remember that I am the Pope. Thank you very much.
I ask the captain for Rogers House, Glenn Ferguson, to come and speak for a minute.
Freshmen,
Yes.
rise. You have been inducted into the best house in the whole institution. You have been invited to come to Mico, so we'll stop marrying people and start teaching.
Yes.
No, once you're here, you need to understand there are certain basic rules that you're going to follow. One, in the morning, the senior men use the bathroom first. And you're expected to show respect and allow them to use it, and then you can go. Secondly, you need to understand that when you see a senior man coming up the stairs, you go to the side and allow him. Which side? You know, if you're not doing it right, you might be on the outside. Now, I want you to know that you're here to be trained as teachers. And if you falter, you'll be on the outside.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shirley. So we're going to ask Mr. Cox to come and address us. Mr. Shirley.
We all know Mr. Shirley's chest from a mile away. Good evening, students.
Good evening.
But that was Fenke thing. That's not off the Mico. I said good afternoon, students. Right. Hey, look, is that somebody in dark glasses? That was Glenn Gardner. No, sir, it's a test glass. You get it off. Mr. Shirley says you have to get it off, and it's off. Look around. Now, you all come from your hills and the valleys. You're now at the Mico, the illustrious Mico. Although you're not yet qualified to be a Miconian, you have not yet eaten sufficiently of the Mico food, nor drink of the water, and perhaps you don't know yet of that delicious pub that will penetrate your brains and your minds to let you become a Miconian. For many of you, your parents had to dispose
of their livestock. They sell their cows and their goats and their pigs to get you here at the Mico. They even borrowed from the neighbors to sustain you here. And so you have to play your part. You are not a Miconian until Mr. Shirley says so. You are going to embark on a new course of study where you will be doing psychology, methodology, sociology, and all the other ologies. And you might hear from the seniors, rogginologies. And I don't want any of you coming to Mr. Shirley's office to say that you can't cope. Mico is not the place for you. You are the largest batch to enter the Mico. And so, if you can't cope, you should not be here. Is that understood? For many of you, you are going to form new relationships. Mr. Shirley knows all about that. He has been here at the Mico from you were in the cradles. And many of you will disentangle your relationship you had before. We know, for it's on your profile there, we know all who are married, who are single, who are doubled and tripled and even quadrupled. And Mr. Shirley knows everything. What he doesn't know is not worthwhile knowing. Now, I have to relate this one, my one-on-one with Mr. Shirley. When I came in first, I was in the primary course. And then some list somewhere about, I can't remember if it's mid-October, a number of us names were put up. And we had to go and meet Mr. Shirley at his office. So I went down. I think I was calling, I can't remember who took me in. Had his file there. Mr. Frank Cox? I said, yes, Mr. Shirley. You are now transferred to do secondary course, industrial arts. I didn't know that I shouldn't butt in. So I said, but Mr. Shirley, I'm comfortable. But is a conjunction. You forgot that it was Mr. Shirley who interviewed you when you came first to the Mico. I see on your profile here that you were exposed to manual training, agriculture, and agricultural science. And so if Mr. Shirley say you are going to do secondary course, so it goes. Whatever Mr. Shirley says, so it goes. No, but I'm saying why Mr. Shirley is rugging me in my mind, but you know, getting nervous, I can't say anything more. So he looked at it and said, I see here
you say you were teaching before you get to the Mico. I said, oh yes, Mr. Shirley. And then he made a little cynical, you were teaching? I said, yes, Mr. Shirley. Here, did you tell any of the seniors that you were teaching? And there I was convinced that Mr. Shirley rubbed it with. So, he asked, which past Miconians I know? And I was saying, I know a gentleman, I think he was in the probation service named Mr. Joel McBean. You cannot know Mr. Joel McBean. I said, but Mr. Shirley, I said you cannot know Mr. Joel McBean. I said, but what is it, sir? Mr. McBean was my roommate at Mico. You cannot know him. You can't know, seeing and something. You know when Mr. Shirley entered the mic, I said, sir, I didn't know edit. When we were born, I said, sir, just the turn of the 50. You were in the cradles then. I was at the Mico then. He said, Mico, and Godspeed with you. You're going to do industrial arts and you're going to do it well. Captain Gooden, that is Mr. Gooden who was in charge. Well, I see all the reports. I said, oh yes, Mr. Shirley. I will. I cannot close yet. I have to give you another one. We form an alliance. Franco there, Calvin Ford, James Morgan, Raymond Stewart. Those were part of our niche group. Yes, yes. And I need not tell you, we were the backgate people. Mr. Shirley knows when we get registered articles and... Oh my. Of course. So, Calvin Forbes, he went home without getting that special lift. You all remember Calvin Forbes, who had the angular car there, lived at Principal Hall. Mr. Shirley knows that we were in the same group. So I happened to be going down the office one morning. And we were in the industrial art. Mr. Shirley asked me, and I look around, he said, where is Calvin Forbes? I said, I can't tell him that I don't know Calvin Forbes, for he knows that. So I said, but we were together last night. You were not together with him last night. Yes, you're not direct. Calvin Forbes left the campus on the Thursday night. I visited down there. He wasn't there. And I was at Bishop Block. You weren't there either. But he couldn't remember Franco's name. So what Mr. Shirley said, that tall, lanky, maga one. You think Mr. Shirley don't know where you were? I said, Mr. Shirley weren't anywhere. I know, I heard in the nights when you people coming in, on your feet licking against each other. Or if the gate is locked, you climb over. I want to walk through Mr. Hutchinson's house and get there. And when you're getting up on the block, you have to be holding on and to get up. So I said, Mr. Shirley, where you get? You're challenging Mr. Shirley. And, oh my. And so, he said, I asked Captain Gooden about you guys, and he said, you're a fine gentleman. Franco, today we can use any adjective. We're a finer, distinguished gentleman here. Yes. The only crime we were guilty of is to go to our place of worship And perhaps we had a little more communion than All right, one last one I have to do. I can't, you can't limit Mr. Shirley. Some years after, I ran into Mr. Shirley at John R. Wang's supermarket in New Kingston. So I had to greet him and went over to exchange pleasantries. He looked at me. I remembered you. So I said, yes, Mr. Shirley. You said you have in your black book there, little black book. That's a black diary you used to have. And then I reminded him where, and you tell him about Calvin Forbes, Lloyd Francis, and that. All of a sudden, Mr. Shirley give out, you people are the rum drinkers. Everybody in the place. So, after exchanging some pleasantries, Mr. asked me where I was, and I told him. So I told him we was out there doing it for my, and that I was a preacher, teacher. Who taught you that? Isn't Mr. Shirley? So I said, Mr. Shirley, it's a little belated, but congrats on becoming a principal. His reply was, what are you talking about? I was principal all along. I have an epistle here, but I won't go anymore.
The next person who will come to us now is Cecil Coffey, who will play the part of Keps.
Members of the faculty,
Yes.
student body, good morning. It is a pleasure to look around and to see so many shining, smiling faces. As principal of this noble institution, it is my responsibility to say a few words to you students. I know that you all have been from various communities. But this morning, I will talk, say a few words to you about love on yourself. Love. Think of yourself, student, as the most important person on the planet Earth. Because you are so important, you are not going to do anything to destroy yourself. You're going to love yourself. You're going to do things which are so important that your life will be a success.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know many of you are
been going through difficult times and hard times, but this is the institution where we train young men, young women to become great leaders of our beloved country. Therefore, as young teachers coming up, I am sending you out into the various communities, not to go out there and terrorize those poor students. I want you to go out there as great leaders for them. Children coming to school come from various homes. Some of them having no lunch money. They have no breakfast. They come to school hungry. It is your responsibility to cherish those young lives and make them into future leaders and great men and women of tomorrow. Thank you, Bob.
I know that you have enjoyed the first part of our precious memories, but we're going to take a break now and we're going to hand out our magazine.